Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Fighter Heart podcast. I'm sitting here today with Matt Scott. What's going on, Matt?
How you doing, brother? Nice to meet you. Of
Yeah, man. Thanks. Same here. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
course.
So we like to get into it right away over here. So if you could just give us a little brief rundown of, like where you grew up, kind of what your upbringing was like, and then get right into your Fighter Heart story. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, of course. Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Matt Scott. I am the executive director of Fly Without Limits, which is a disability empowerment organization, and we are actually celebrating our first anniversary this coming week, November 6th.
Oh,
Um,
congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A year of impact in the disability community is not easy, and I'm grateful for not only the disability community, but our community that we started with Fly Without Limits. It's been an amazing year, and I'm super excited about year two. But a little bit about myself. I'm a five-time Paralympian, two-time gold medalist for Team USA's wheelchair basketball team.
Jeez.
Adaptive sports has had a profound impact on my life, and I've continued to make an imprint on the adaptive sports movement because of what it's given me. I want to help give that back to the next generation. I was born in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. I have a disability, a full-time wheelchair user. I have what's called spina bifida, which is a congenital birth defect. And yeah, let's get into it.
So you were born with this then, so this wasn't like an accident or anything like that.
No, sir. So I was born with my disability. I've always had it. Always been a full-time wheelchair user. I still have those that shared experience of living every day with a disability. But unlike some others, I did not have my disability didn't have an onset later in life, and I didn't acquire it later. I was born.
What was it like growing up? I know you have nothing to really compare it to because you've always been in a wheelchair, but uh, did you find things more difficult growing up as being in a wheelchair?
That's an interesting question because I imagine naturally things were more difficult because I have a disability, but they didn't appear more difficult to me because this is who I am. It's a lot like a person that's really short might find it difficult to read something on the tallest shelf, but they don't see that as difficult. You know, it's just their circumstance.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I assume that that life with a disability is, I mean, it's a natural thought that having an able body is probably a little bit more easier than having a disability. However, um, I I believe having a disability has given me such a strong perspective, and what I lack in ability of or ability to walk, I would say. What I lack in that, I have tenfold in perspective. I have such a great perspective on life, on what true ability is, and the power of the mind, and the power of community, the power of spirit, and just the power and just never giving up and not making excuses.
that's awesome, man. Have you always been an athlete? Like, were you
What happened
playing
in
sports
athlete?
in school?
Simple answer, yes. I love sports. I grew up a huge basketball fan, just a lover of the game. And basketball quickly became my identity as a kid. I would dribble around and just be around all the other kids, and um, I quickly went from hey, there's the kid in the wheelchair to hey, there's that kid with the basketball. That's just part of my story, and it's the way that I identify always. I've recently retired from basketball, and I'm now doing some. I'm a corporate professional, and I'm also I run Fly Without Limits. We just had our first lap around the sun. That's why you see this. That's why you see this shirt here. It kind of symbolizes our first lap around the sun. It has our traditional logo on it. It also has some imagery of us, you know, surpassing that sun for the first time.
Yeah.
Um, but me being an athlete, it, it it really has given me everything. the Paralympic sport movement, the wheelchair basketball community uh, has really given me a voice in this whole space. And I'm using that voice to make a stronger impact on the rest of the community.
That's awesome, man. We're definitely going to get into Fly Without Limits a little bit later, but I want to hear more about when, because you said you won two Olympic gold medals, so I'd love to hear more about that and kind of what the training process is like going into something like that, and how you even get to that level.
All right. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess I like getting on like a timeline. So like let's say you're holding you're growing up, and what made you decide to want to go towards basketball? Were there like other athletes that were in wheelchairs that you kind of looked up to and you were like, oh, I could do that too?
That's a great question because I did not have I
Oh,
did not have that. There was when I was growing up as a kid, there weren't, commercials and it wasn't a big media presence and there was no social media. Obviously, I'm a bit older. There was no presence out there in terms of the Paralympic movement. So I didn't even know what the Paralympics were. I had never seen wheelchair basketball, and it wasn't adaptive sports weren't even in the cards for me because I just didn't have an awareness. There was not a strong awareness. That goes to show you how powerful representation. Fast forward, I started to play basketball just in my neighborhood with my friends. I grew up in Detroit. Basketball's huge in that community. I grew up in the '90s where we had the bad
Isaiah
boy.
Thomas. Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, we had the bad boy Pistons, and obviously Jordan was making his wave. It was just um, to be a good basketball player was for me when I saw it. It was like uh, respect and honor, and it meant so much more than playing a game. It was really much more than that. So I wanted to pursue it. I didn't think that having a disability should limit me from playing a game that seems really cool. So I pursued it, but I didn't start with wheelchair basketball. I just played in my neighborhood.
So like
Um,
you would just play a pickup game, like a 5-on-5?
I was just a kid. I mean, my friends and I would just, we get together, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 5-on-5. Yeah, playing pickup and just enjoying myself as a kid. We would play football, we would play basketball, we would wrestle, we would box. Community kids, like we're just
Yeah.
having fun. But basketball was something that I really tied myself to. Fast forward, I was invited to play wheelchair basketball, go to a wheelchair basketball practice by a doctor. I went to a doctor's office, and they were kind of pushing me to go check it out. And I finally said, okay, let's do this. I'll try it out.
And
I didn't
you didn't even know it existed at that point, I guess.
know it existed, and to be honest, I had a negative perception of what it might be. Um, I felt like I felt like disability in sport weren't two things that went together. I thought I was like this anomaly, and I was like playing with able-bodied kids, and I didn't know that something existed for the adaptive sports community. I had no idea there was even a community.
I mean, I assume playing with able-bodied kids in your wheelchair kind of like helped you in a way because they kind of had a little bit of an advantage, I would assume, where you'd have to like learn how to like box out and stuff like that. So like I
You
assume
have
it helped you for when you did get to playing with other people in wheelchairs.
That's right. I mean, I did. I learned, I learned the fundamentals. I learned how to keep the ball away from my defender. I learned how to box out my guy. I learned how to steal the ball off of somebody. I learned how to pass, over someone who's much taller than me. I had to acquire a lot of skills at a young age in order to be good at the game. Fast forward and when I finally played the game of wheelchair basketball, I was really impressed. I went to my first practice and guys were hitting threes and they were playing really efficiently, even like flashing. They even had some behind the back passes and just playing the game that I thought like I could, you know.
Yeah.
So I was really drawn to it. After that first practice, I decided that I was going to keep coming back. and keep coming back and keep coming back. I
Did you
remember
did you end up
saying,
joining a team after that? I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
yeah, absolutely. So I kept coming back to those practices. I joined that team. It was a junior team. It was in the junior division of what's called the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. Uh, in that junior division, I would compare it to AAU here in the States. So it's a traveling league. There's people all over the country, and there's tournaments nationally. So I played there for all through high school. I was recruited to play at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, where I went and got my education and played wheelchair basketball there. And during that time, I was also being scouted by Team USA. Made my first national team at the age of 18.
What were your stats looking like at this point? Like I had what I don't know. I can't really think of how your stats were.
Yeah, I mean, I was by the 11th grade, I started playing when I was in the ninth grade. My before I was about 14 when I started playing wheelchair basketball. It took a couple of years to kind of figure it out, get into the right equipment, get into the right chair and things like that. By my junior year of high school, I was dominant. I was the MVP of the country, won a national championship, and I was well on my way to be, the number one scouting player out of my out of my class. So stats were crazy. The national team was looking at me. I made a under 23 national team at the age of 16. Uh, yeah, the stats were looking good, very
They
very
were there. So in college, what was that like? What was the difference between high school and college?
Yeah, more dominance really. So 11th and 12th grade won national championships in that junior division with the NWBA. And as I said, I was getting scouted by Team USA, made that team. Um, and that was the 2004 Paralympic team going to Athens. Once I made that team, I began my college journey with University of Wisconsin Whitewater. The biggest difference is the training. So I had skills. I could dribble the ball really well. I had flashes of getting hot when behind the 3-point line. I could pass. I was a very strong defender, but it was just a different level at college. The way that we trained. I remember just doing plyometrics at 6 o'clock in the morning on a cold Wisconsin, basketball court.
What
Just
did you
pushing
say? Sorry, what word did you? I don't even know the word you just said. Biometrics. What did you say?
plyometrics, just basically chair skills and basically a plyometric is just doing a skill, for like a timed amount of time, doing it. It's very I'll give you a typical plyo day. Like we'll be doing like U-turns for 20 minutes. And we'll take a med ball and kind of do some med ball slam, then go from station to station to station. Um, and yeah, those plyometric exercises were things that I didn't do in college I'm sorry, in high school. Those are things that I, learned in college and started to pick up those types of skills.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, plyometrics. Haven't heard that one. That's a new one for my vocabulary now.
Yeah, man. We would have 6 a.m. practice, wake up, we'd be pulling sleds on the back of our chairs. I mean, we were lifting weights. We were just going from station to station in these plyometric drills. And it really turned us into really strong athletes and like better basketball players because we knew how hard we worked in practice.
When did you guys know, like, we're pretty good. We could win a gold medal with this?
Well, I mean, that was University of Wisconsin Whitewater.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't the USA team.
That's not Team USA. Yeah, so going to Team USA stuff, it's so all right. We went from juniors. Now we're in college. So during the time that I'm in college, I'm playing for Team USA. But Team USA isn't full. It's not all year round. It's a summer sport.
Okay.
So the year of 2004, summer 2004, I went to Athens for the Paralympics, made that team. Was very happy to be there. I was the youngest on the team, 18 years old. Very excited to be there. Unfortunately, we didn't medal. We went there. We were really excited. Uh, we hoped that we could do well, but as a young team with not a lot of experience, we went over there and got our asses kicked. Unfortunately, but those I truly believe that those are the types of things that build character, and nobody like there's no good story where everything was just handed to you. You just dominated the whole time. And
Yeah,
it's just not a good story.
it's not
So
fun either, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm very grateful for getting our ass kicked in 2004 because fast forward we went on to win back to back gold medals.
When and was that 05 or did it take a few years?
So the Paralympics is every 4 years.
Oh, just like the regular Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, when you don't medal, you have to wait 4 years to kind of get back onto, get your opportunity again. And all right, so we're talking about Team USA stuff. So 2004, we didn't medal. It was unfortunate. It was character building. We had to go back to the drawing board, back to our home teams. Um, then 2008, we came back in Beijing with an entirely new team and an entirely new mindset. Um, I believe that we were the best team on paper in 2008. We just had a really good roster. Unfortunately, we did not put that together, and we had another non-medal performance, which is another very disappointing thing. We ended up losing in semifinals in like a triple overtime game. It's a heartbreaker, uh, and yeah, got knocked out of gold medal contention, which was very disappointing. But again, jump started our motivation.
So, oh
Because
wait, that was 08.
that was '08.
And you're
That's
out of
right.
college at this point, right? It's at in 08.
No, that was my last year.
Okay. So now you're getting ready for 2012, I guess, for the next 4 years. What
That's
is
right.
what are those 4 years like training wise since you're not in college anymore at that point?
Yeah, so I signed my first professional contract to go play in Istanbul, Turkey, where I played for a club team called Galatasaray, which has a huge presence in soccer, in what they call football out there.
Hmm.
Uh, that club has a men's team, a women's team, a wheelchair basketball team, a volleyball team, and a soccer team. Huge club. It was I was very excited to sign with this club because of the equity. Uh, everybody's under the same umbrella. It's not like adaptive sports is off to some on in some sister club or whatever. It's everybody's under the same club. We train on the same campus, and we're all aligned. We're all on the same team. I love that amount of equity. I wish that we had that here in the States, and that's something that I work on every day. But let's stay on topic. Yeah, 2008. I was in Istanbul, Turkey, and I went on to play there for the next 6 years.
6 years, I got you. So then tell us about 2012. Where was that, and then how'd you guys do then?
Yeah, 2012 was the London Paralympic Games. Um, for the listeners, the Olympics and the Paralympics all happened in the same, it's the same venues, the same host city. So in 2004 was Athens, in 2008 was Beijing, in 2012 we were in London. London was very much a game changer for the Paralympic movement because you started to see less of the Olympic rings, and you started to see more of the agitos, which is the Paralympic symbol. It's the three symbols. One's red, one's green, one's a little bit blue. Um, and it has its own. We have our own symbol. It has its own meaning, although it is parallel to those rings. It's just that it's the Paralympic parallel to them.
Hmm.
In 2012, like I said, it was a huge game changer. You started to see billboards in the city of London with Paralympic athletes. You started to see all types of different advertisements and things like that with Paralympians. I'm one of those Paralympians who actually was a part of some of those advertisements at the Paralympic. I was the first Paralympic athlete to have his very own Nike commercial called the it was the No Excuse campaign, and yeah, that was a big game changer in our movement. And the question that you asked me earlier about, hey, did you have people with disabilities that you looked up to, and that's why you wanted to play? The answer is no, I didn't have. That's why I've always wanted to be that representation. I've always wanted to uh, make sure that the awareness is there, that we're being treated equitably, and for me to achieve that commercial was not big just for me as an individual and on my individual career, but it was huge for our sport to be seen in the lights of other athletes that get that get taken care of by Nike because that truly is the best of that.
Did you, was it like a sponsorship? Nike approached you?
Yes, Nike approached me and I endorsed it through that No Excuse campaign. So uh, it was it was amazing. It was incredible to be a part of. Uh, yeah, it was, and just like anything, you have to, um, you know, they weren't coming to look for me or something like that. You have to audition. But my long standing in the Paralympic space, I was well known for what I could do on the court and how I carried myself off the court. I was given that audition and knocked it out of the park. Uh, they they knew they had the right guy, and I took that opportunity and really I took that opportunity and did the best that I could with it. I hope that I made the disability community proud and the adaptive sports.
I'm sure you have, man. I can't imagine you didn't. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment right there. So did you guys, I hope you medaled then in 2012.
Yeah, so 2012 we went on to what I like to call rose gold. um, we took home bronze. It wasn't the shiniest medal, but it was a step in the right direction. Having had two failure back to back, 2004 and 2008, getting on that medal stand and moving in the right direction really changed the trajectory of our entire uh, Team USA. Our locker room, our movement, our entire team. We started to see what it takes to be a medalist team. We knew what it meant, what it took to get uh, on the podium because individually we had a lot of individual players, but we knew that we needed to become more of a team and more gel together. And then in 2016, we were able to figure that out. Um, we really played together like a family. The camaraderie was there. I mean, those guys know now. The 2016 team, like those guys can call me right now. You know, night, noon, morning, whatever they want, and I do anything for them. Like those are my brothers. And we really played together. We played for each other. Uh, the results showed because we were able to bring home the shiniest medal there is. And then fast forward, we were able to recreate that in 2020, 2021 in Tokyo.
Was this roughly was this roughly the same team? Like, did everyone come back, or I'm sure the team changes a little bit over the years.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't change over a little bit over the years. From my tenure, like 2004 on through 2021, like that's a long time to be on a national team. The team changes, a lot. You start to remove pieces. You start to figure out, your weaknesses. You start to add some strengths in other areas, and the team changed a lot. Um,
But
my 2000.
how do you think you guys were able to carry over that same mentality from the 16 to the 21 team if the team's changing?
So not many differences happen between those two. I just mean like
Mm,
from the beginning of my tenure with Team USA on through from 2004 to through to,
yeah.
2021, there was drastic change. From 2016 to 2021, there was maybe three or four different players.
So you had your core there, and
Have been exactly.
very cool. Did you win MVP?
Did I win MVP? No, and actually, it's really interesting the way that our Team USA system works. It doesn't it doesn't really lend itself to a lot of individual accolades.
Mm,
Um, Especially that 2016 team. We didn't have a single player in the top 10 of anything. We didn't have the top scorer, we didn't have the top rebounder, we didn't have like we just played a system. We had a very balanced team, and everybody did exactly what they needed to do. So it wasn't. It's actually a great question. Did you win MVP? Because those things aren't really important when you play for a Team USA roster, and previously they were, and that's kind of what our downfall. Like the '08 team and the '04 team that didn't medal, even the 2012 team. Um, I think we were still kind of looking at those individual accolades, and we are still playing for self. And those 2016 team, the 2012, the 2021 team, um, it was we didn't care. Whoever scores the top scorer in that game doesn't matter. Whoever has the most assists doesn't matter. Let's just get the
yeah, and you guys did it right. A true team sport.
win.
Very
Well,
cool.
yeah, true team sport, exactly.
Did you retire after the 2021, I guess? Olympic?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
2021 was my last games. That's yeah, absolutely. I was, we kind of talked about the professional wheelchair basketball that I had going on.
Mhm.
But from '08 to 2012, 2013, I was in Istanbul, Turkey. I moved on to go play in Sardinia, Italy for a team called Porto Torres.
Mm.
Played there for 2 years. I switched teams and leagues. Moved over to Germany, where I moved to East Germany and played for a team called the Thuringia Bulls, and I played there for 3 years. And then during COVID, I decided to, uh, because in Germany they kind of shut down the league during COVID.
Mm.
But the leagues continued in Spain, so I decided to take that year, train in Spain, and play for a team out there in Spain as I prepared for Tokyo 21. So there's a like the like while you're playing for a national team, there's it's a summer sport, so you play from May through you know August, August or September, but during the year you're playing with the team. So earlier in my year it was college, and I played for that team. Later in my year it's professional.
Gotcha.
I really like to let the audience know that there is professional wheelchair basketball here. A lot of our athletes do go over there to play.
Yeah, it's all over, I guess. And at this point, we've interviewed so many people, so now I know, but I had no idea before I started interviewing. So what happened after 2021? How did you decide where you wanted to take this? Because your whole life at this point is a lot of it's been basketball. So where'd you want
Yeah,
to go after that?
definitely. So one thing that I didn't mention in 2018, I actually had a like a wound on my leg. It was like a pressure sore from being strapped in my chair a lot, and just kind of basically too much sitting without relieving the pressure. Um, and that wound actually went septic in 2018, which was a um, which could have very well started my fight or heart story. Um, the that wound going septic and me going into a septic shock sent me into a 7 to 8 day coma. I had some multi-organ failure. Ended up staying in the hospital for about 4 months while I was recovering from that,
Wow.
and was really a scary moment because as an athlete, as a basketball player, as someone who prides himself on being extremely strong. I remember, waking up from that coma and being like held like a styrofoam cup of water that I couldn't even hold up. And that was a pretty scary moment because basketball is what I did, and basketball um, was everything, everything for me. So I made a promise to myself I was going to make that recovery. I made a promise to myself I was going to make that national team going to Tokyo 2020. And I was able to accomplish that. After getting out of the hospital in 2019, I hit the ground running. As you know, we went on in 2019, 2020 to have a global pandemic, which ended up pushing back the date for the Paralympics. So instead of falling in 2020, it happened in 2021, which
Mhm.
was a blessing in disguise for me, giving me the opportunity to recover even more and golden results.
So when you were in the hospital in 2018, 2019, where did the doctors tell you like, look, you're probably not going to play basketball anymore, or did that never even happen?
Nothing like that. I think there was an expected full recovery. It was just the timeline. They gave me a sort of a longer timeline to be ready and to be expected. But a full recovery was always expected. After after some of the organ failure, some of the scary times after I made that recovery and that turned around, it was just a matter of recovering physically. So full recovery was always expected, and always expected out of me because I had Tokyo 2020 in my mind. It was something that kept me going. It was something that kept me motivated. I actually had my nurses in the in the hospital. They made like this makeshift like basketball hoop. So I'm like laying in the bed and like shooting baskets. Like I was just a maniac with it. It felt very like Kobe Bryant esque, like that Mamba mentality.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly what I was gonna say. Like you had that mama mentality going
yeah.
in the hospital too. So
Ironically, I had that book. It's that big book, that Mamba mentality book. I had that sitting next to me in the hospital
yeah,
while I was there. It just goes to show you, that his influence, just it's tremendous. Not just in the able-bodied sports realm. His influence has hit everybody. Mamba mentality is a true thing.
yeah, 100%, man. I was a big Laker fan my whole life. Um, so okay, so where does Fly Without Limits come into play? Um,
So
yeah,
uh, Tokyo 2021 ends.
yeah.
I decided to step away from sport. I was actually nominated to be the flag bearer on the way out of Tokyo 2021. So not only did we win a gold medal, hours later I get a chance to take that gold medal to the closing ceremonies where I'm the flag bearer, and that's an incredible experience. It's a different kind of honor. It's great to bow your head down, let them put the gold medal around your neck. But it's another thing to be nominated by your peers as someone who represents them, and carry that flag on the way out. Um, for me, having climbed that mountain of not medaling, from just being a young kid who's trying to be in the game, to a two-time gold medalist and now carrying this flag out in the closing ceremony. I don't I didn't feel that there was anything more that I needed to accomplish in the game as a player. I feel very accomplished, and I'm very proud of my accomplishments and what I was able to give to the game as a player. And I think that's rare air to be in. As athletes, we learn to be unsatisfied and not be okay with it. You have people playing for years and years and years, and they never know when to stop. It's like sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, like I was, this is the player that I was. This is what I gave to the game as a player. and now I can go on and give things to the game outside of sport. Through initiatives like Fly Without Limits, through my ability to work in the media. I covered the Paris 2024 games for the Olympics and Paralympics. The only Paralympic athlete to be a reporter for the Olympics and Paralympics. And it's really huge because I can score points in a game, and people might remember that game, or I could share that story of the athlete. I can share the story of the adaptive sports movement through this huge medium and really have an impact. So not only did I impact the game as a player, I'm now going on to impact adaptive sports outside of it.
Did you ever think of being a coach?
I'm not going to be a coach.
Yeah, you didn't want to coach at that point.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. That's not my path. Like I said, I've recently gotten into the media space where I was a reporter for the Olympics and Paralympics,
Hmm.
and I think that I think that's going to be a powerful way for me to shine a positive light on the adaptive sports community. Um, I do some like mentoring, and I do some like coaching at clinics and things like that. But I feel like the coaching path isn't for me, and it's not.
I got you. So where? So tell us about Fly Without Limits. We're running a little low on time now.
Yeah, of course. So Fly Without Limits is a global social impact organization. It's a disability empowerment organization, and it's all about making sure that people have the resources, that the barriers that they're experiencing, we can remove those barriers, and providing information for people to get involved in whatever the initiatives they need to get involved in. Sometimes it's adaptive sports, sometimes it's academic, sometimes it's professionally. We open doors and we remove barriers. We are a very proud organization, and it's the organization that I needed when I was a kid. I see. I felt like as a kid, I experienced a lot of organizations that fueled on pity for the disability community, that fueled on the sad stories and um, the emotional tie, whereas we are all about empowering. We are all about empowering, and I think I think we've had such a tremendous impact in the 1 year that we've since inception, and I'm excited for year two. No, November 6th, we're celebrating our first lap around the sun, and I can't be more excited to go on and fly without.
What do you mean by lap around the sun? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean that's just when you take a lap around the sun, that's just a year. Some
Oh,
people say,
oh, like a year. I got you. I thought like you did some like big event, like a big like
nah,
a
nothing
big
like
marathon
that.
or something.
A year went by. That's
Got you, got you. All right. So what are the goal? I mean, I guess the goal is what you just said. Is that the long-term goal just be all over the world helping people with this?
So the long term goal is disability empowerment, making sure that we're finding equitable opportunities for for people with disabilities, whether it be professionally, whether it be in sports, whether it be academic. We're all about equity. We're all about just making sure that we can empower the community as much as possible. There's there's our short term goals, and that's to become completely global. Right now, we do a lot of our work in the States. I'll be taking a trip to Senegal in December, where we're going to be donating a wheelchair. I'm just going to be, I was out in Paris this summer, where we didn't do any active Fly Without Limits work, but I was able to, spend some time, mentor some people, and actually speak to some people in their community on ways that we can get involved out there. The short-term goal is to continue to grow and become a global organization. And the long-term goal is empowerment. When you start to see more equity, you start to see policy changes in the government, when you start to see more accessibility for air travel. Those are things that we're working on.
Beautiful initiative, man. So what where can we check out, your follow your journey, like your social media, your website, stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. So flywithoutlimits.org is where you can find a lot of our information. You can reach out and contact us. And there's other ways to support us as well. We are on YouTube where you can find the Fly Without Limits at Fly Without Limits at YouTube, where you can see some of our engaging content that we put out there in the world. And then also Fly Without Limits Foundation at it on Instagram. You can follow that. You can follow my personal Instagram, which is Matt Scott Fly, which is a moniker that I go by. It's kind of, you can see the tie-in Fly Without Limits.
Yeah.
Um, the Yeah, we're pretty easy to find. Fly Without Limits is hopefully going to continue to grow and continue to be everywhere. And I'm very, very proud of it.
And best way to get in touch is through like direct message, I guess, on Instagram.
Direct message. There's ways to contact us through the website. We have a contact sheet for anybody that's looking for support, looking for ways for us to remove a barrier for them, and to get involved in our initiative. We have what's called Camp for Champs, which is a initiative where we send adaptive sports youth to camp all summer. There is the Taking Flight program, which it's a community engagement initiative where we remove barriers from some of our individuals. And then we have the DK3 powered by Fly Without Limits, which is a 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball tournament that we host annually.
Oh, very cool. Where's that held?
Venice Beach, California, the same court that they filmed White Man Can't Jump.
Beautiful. So before we let you go, I'd like to ask you, um, if you could talk to like maybe your past self or someone else who's gone through something similar situation that you went through, and maybe they didn't have such a good mentality as you did, maybe they didn't think that they could play sports or something like that. What's some advice you would give?
Advice to any young athlete or any young, my younger self, not even an athlete, just a young person with a disability, is if you don't see yourself represented, then be that representation. Use your circumstances as a motivator, not as something that holds you down, and never, ever, ever think that you can because you can.
Hell yeah, beautiful story, Matt. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Of course, man, absolutely.
Everyone else, thank you again for listening to another Fighter Hub podcast. We'll see you again next week.